So I want to talk about a real Game of Thrones of my son Tommy. Tell him the story of what's going on. And basically it's kind of real life event going on in epic proportions. So let me give you the backstory. Well, it all started off with someone robbing the Lannisters' vault of 50 million gold. Big money, 50 million gold was robbed from the vault. And the Lannisters, needless to say, were not happy. So they were summoning their sorcerers and their best minds to figure out how they could, how they could use their powers to get this gold back. Well, they couldn't figure out anything. But one guy said, you know what we could do? It's really dangerous, but we could do it. And we'll have to trick everyone into supporting us. Well, another guy says, not a problem. We have Bitcoin Magazine. Everyone listens to Bitcoin Magazine. So we can actually just put the word out on there that this is the thing to do, right? So that's not a deal. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. So basically the Lannisters, or in this case Ethereum, decides to do this magic power, which is basically go back in time and start a new parallel reality for the blockchain. So all this is happening on the blockchain. It's kind of like the cloud. So they did that, and they assumed that so they did that, and they said there was an added benefit too, is we could, because we do the split, all of a sudden whatever we have, we're going to have double of. And what we can do is just take all our money out. Yes, we can take all our money out. And the greedy Lannisters' eyes got really big, because all of a sudden they realized they could double their money, right? In a day, they could double their money, and they would just sink the legitimate king and put in power the new illegitimate bastard, okay? So they did that, and they stabbed, Classic, let's call him Classic, Lord Classic, in the back, and they withdrew all their funds, and they were really happy, and they figured, look, we just had a great day. We've just doubled our money, everything else, and they thought they were on the top of the world. Well, there was a noble knight named Charles, and Charles used to be with the Lannisters, and he realized, he saw their corruption and stuff, and he couldn't be with them anymore, and he decided to go his own way. And the young Lannister king, let's call him Vitalik, right? He's very young and very influential, and all these powerful fintech lords have been dining and whining, and the poor lad has really lost his way, right? Because he's been seduced by all this opulence. I mean, the poor kid really came from nothing. So basically, when that happened, it created big trouble, because if the legitimate king Classic lives, then ultimately the younger illegitimate Ethereum, right? The new fork, it was Ethereum, but they forked and called it Ethereum, their same name, but really the legitimate one is Classic, all of a sudden is at risk of failure. So they thought, and says, well, the bank of Charles, it's believed, was on this isle, the Iron Isle, whatever, where all the money's at, right? Called Bitrex. So they ordered their secret commands for them to attack Bitrex and take the money. The reason why is this is because, see, in this Game of Thrones, money is everything, and it is like in the Game of Thrones too. So whoever loses all their Bitcoin or their Ether basically doesn't have the fuel. So they attacked it, and the other thing that happened that really got them worried, and the reason why they attacked it was after the Lord Charles embraced Classic and said, I'm going to help this, help you recover, and we're going to win back this fight. Other exchanges started, and these are like these big banks, right? Started listing and saying, hey, we'll give you lines of credit. And not only that, miners started mining. So basically the Lannisters are really upset. And that's why I said we got to attack an exchange in order to send a message, to rob their money, and to squelch Classic. Because if Classic comes back, we risk everything. And not only that, The miners said what we could do is actually we could just mine our supercomputers, and then we could just keep selling our ETC to the exchanges and basically pull out all of their money. It's just kind of like a way just to you're just mining and then selling, mining and selling, and just driving it down to the point that it collapses. So that has been going on in the last month. Now, there's an effort to save ETC, and the reason for this is that all of the special interest groups, the 1%, the fintech ones, all moved with the Lannisters, right? So we have this clean, stark ETC classic, blockchain, which is free from all of the, the corruption and everything else. So, my vision is, and always has been, to launch something called Foundup, which is a decentralized business model on the blockchain. And what better time right now to move to do that? Because ultimately, if the Starks win, then we can potentially crush the 1% and change the world. The blockchain is so important. It's so important because it's a new paradigm for business. It's a new paradigm for interacting. And with the blockchain, for example, we can create one global co-op. Imagine everyone working together to make the planet a better place, all connected under this blockchain. See, that didn't exist before. We'd all have to be individuals, and we'd have to rely on our governments and all the politics and all that. See, with the blockchain, it wipes all that away. It removes all that crap. It completely changes everything. And that's why Ethereum Classic, or the Starks, is so important, because if we can set it up right, and this is something that I've been working on since 2009, right? I'm the guy who inspired Mihai, who was best friends with Vitalik, who is the genius engineer that was able to take my idea and put it on the blockchain chain and create what I call the Open Innovation Framework for launching Foundups, which is a decentralized business model for. Understand, that model doesn't exist yet, but the framework to create it on the blockchain now does, because Ethereum exists. So I couldn't do this second step before I do the first. So what's our next step? What am I doing? Well, number one is we're launching a convention, and basically it's called an unconference. It's a conference that anyone can participate. It's self-organizing on the blockchain. So you are out on the blockchain for the blockchain, and you can participate simply by going to undevcon2.com and sign up and say, hey, we're going to be part of this, and we will live stream to the website and everything else. My goal is simple. I want us to make a bigger noise than UnDevCon. Simple. I want everyone tweeting about UnDevCon, not DevCon 2, right? UnDevCon 2, not DevCon 2. I want everyone talking about Ethereum Classic, not Ethereum. I want to bring the debate to the people and questioning about how can you have an organization that ultimately has the person who writes their code and who they pay, the company that pays the founder of this company is their COO, who's also a New York venture shark, right? Or venture whale, killer whale, right? How can you have founders of a nonprofit in Switzerland also being the founders of Bitcoin magazine, which is the most read? It's kind of like being the New York Times and the Washington Post. How is it that you have, people, when you show a little opposition, they get blacklisted. They say you can't come to the conference. You can't, you can't write this. You can't do this. Why? This is supposed to be decentralized. This is supposed to be open. And what's happened is there is this cartel, like the Lannisters, right, who are trying to control everything. And it's up to us, the people of the world, if we're going to fight for our planet, to ultimately fight now for the blockchain. Because the blockchain is basically the Achilles heel of the 1%. I'll say that again. The blockchain is the Achilles heel. They have built their Pandora's box, and they think that they're going to use this Pandora's box to create another bullshit economy like they have right now. And watch Noam Chomsky talk about what these special interest groups have done. So it's so important now that we move forward. So I'm looking for team members. I'm looking for volunteers. You can Skype me at Foundup. We've got everything plugged in. We can plug you in. We have media. We have LinkedIn accounts. LinkedIn page. We have Twitter accounts. We need you to help us win this war against the Lannisters. Thanks. My name is Mike Trout. There's a lot on me. Just type Mike Trout. I'm a fuck up. A Foundup Corp upstart. That's a fuck up. A Foundup Corp upstart. So join us fuck ups to save the planet.